Chris! Brian gasped. He started to move forward, but Chris took a quick step back. Brian's stomach balled up. He tried to keep his voice steady. Have you had a blood test? Of course. Negative. Relief flooded through Brian. Then you're good, he said. But he stayed where he was. Yes, I suppose. Clutching the jacket, Chris stared at Brian. It's good to see you, Brian said, thinking it was a phrase more appropriate for an acquaintance at a party, not someone you thought had been dead for 6 years. But no other phrase came to mind. It's good to see you, Chris returned. It sounded automatic. His next words were barely audible. I didn't think I'd find you. How did you get here? Brian asked. Chris was looking past Brian at Ian. Is it safe to bring him here? He has to know. He has to learn how to go on, doesn't he? Brian had been through this with Fiona over and over. Chris nodded. Well, you haven't seen what I've seen, but maybe it's different here. Brian's answer came out harsher than he expected. How do you know what I've seen? You look like you've got it easy. Better than most, Brian agreed, but nothing is easy anymore. Chris drew himself up, his face hardening. Yeah, I know. It occurred to Brian all at once that Chris shouldn't be alone. He should have a wife and child with him. But he didn't. Guilt hit him again. Brian turned to Ian. Go queue for the bus, old boy. Ian shuffled off, looking back several times. Brian swallowed hard. This wasn't going well. Chris's sudden appearance had unbalanced him. The whole thing had an unreal, dreamlike quality to it. He hadn't really believed Flynn, even though he'd gone through the motions of checking at the government centre. Until Ian had suggested it, he never thought Chris might be waiting at the bus station. Chris, what happened? We thought you were dead. No, not dead. Almost. A few times. How did you get here? Brian prompted when Chris said nothing else. I walked, mostly. Brian did not understand. Walked? I thought you were in New York. No, Chris said, then stopped. He seemed to be thinking hard. It's a long story. He did not go on. At a loss, Brian did not know what to say, what to do. It was starting to sink in. Chris was alive, standing here in front of him, and he'd done nothing to show he was the least bit happy about it. He felt he should make some gesture, but at the same time, it was as if Chris didn't particularly care. Or maybe Chris was taking cues from him, Brian thought. Had he come across as indifferent? Was it too late to change the tone of the conversation? Look, Chris said suddenly, making Brian flinch. Except for Flynn, I've not found anyone. He told me about my mother. Is John dead, too? No, Brian said, glad to have some good news for him. John's all right. He's well. He's with us out in Hurley. Chris took a deep, ragged breath and let it out as he closed his eyes. He looked like he might fall down. His shoulders sagged. He put a hand up to rub his face, then looked at Brian again. What does he know about Kevin? Kevin, the middle of the three Price brothers, had been living in London with his girlfriend and her daughter. Brian shook his head. We've never heard. He rang John back at the start and said they were coming, but they never did. He's dead. They're all three dead. Chris's face went hard again. Can you be sure? I've been there. To London. To his flat.